Another awesome mod for the 5th gen 4Runners is brought to you by Dasaita, and this is a factory radio replacement for those outdated factory radios that come with the 4Runners up until 2019. So it's gonna be a plug and play installation pretty much. Just requires a little bit of disassembling and stuff like that, but it's nothing out of this world. Anyone can do it. It comes with a bunch of connectors and wire harness. That way it will keep all the factory options such as the steering wheel controls working properly. And here we have it, a 10-inch Android screen with black or dark matte bezels or frame. This will be a direct replacement for the factory radio. It has a couple of things. One I want to point out is that it has internal storage that can be expanded by a micro SD card, and I think it's time to test it out. Here we have it all installed and ready to be used, and we'll test to see how long it takes before we can actually use it from the moment that we start the card. Now I previously paired my iPhone to this unit. It supports wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, so it doesn't require a USB connection in order for those services to work. And from the two options of launchers, I choose the Vivid launcher. There is another one called Scout, but they are pretty similar. However, those launchers can be changed to your own preference, but we'll take a look at that later in the video. But for now, let's go back to our Apple CarPlay here, and it just took under 50 seconds to load up. And here we have the screen responsiveness is not that bad. It's a wireless connection, so there is normal to be just a little bit of a delay, and of course there is room for better in terms of responsiveness, but it's not the worst I've seen out there. So it's normal for those Android units to be like this. Now moving on, we'll switch to Android Auto, and we'll see how Android Auto feels on the screen here on our Dasaita head unit. And kind of the same thing as the Apple CarPlay, just a slight delay in the responsiveness, but nothing major. And as I mentioned before, that's totally normal, and that's what you should expect from any Android head unit. So I was talking earlier about the Vivid launcher. So this is basically the launcher. I'm not a huge fan of this launcher, but I'm gonna show you in a second what this unit can do. And most importantly, it acts like a standalone Android devices, so it's just like a tablet. So if you are familiar with Android Auto, you should not have any trouble navigating and changing the settings of this menu. But if you never use Android, then it may take you a little bit of time to get used to it. But since this is like a tablet, of course it will need some internet connection in order to be able to install apps, because this basically as I said, works like a tablet, so you can install any apps that are available on Android Play Store. Now all of those apps are come pre-installed in the unit, so you don't have to install anything to be able to use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It already has those apps pre-installed, but here I'm just demonstrating how you can search and look for other apps that you may want to use on this screen. I went ahead and I installed Netflix, so I'm gonna try to show you how Netflix plays on this head unit, which I think is pretty cool. And however, I don't suggest using it while driving, but it could be really nice while taking lunch in the car or having a break or waiting for someone. It's always nice to have a screen which is of course bigger than most phones, and it's in the car, so that is a really good advantage. The image could be fill the entire screen, but of course it will just cut some of the image, so it's really up to the viewer how it wants to have the movie played on the screen. As you can see, you can browse through the menu while having um, screen in screen or picture in picture feature. You can look up places while watching Netflix as well. For the iPhone users, this might be a little bit overwhelming, since it may take a little bit of time to be able to get used to this unit. Now let's go back to the launcher. I was mentioning before, launchers can be replaced, and we're gonna start with the car launcher. So that's the name. Car launcher can be found in the Google Play Store. They have a free, I think, and a pro version, so most of the launchers can be free for a while, and if you like them you can buy them. But this is how it's gonna look. The screens of the apps are a little bit different than the Vivid one, so the main dashboard can be fully customized of what shortcuts you want, for example Netflix, Android, or CarPlay. Right there it has a bunch of customization in the settings, so those usually those launchers from Google Play Store are pretty good in terms of customizing things on the screen. Now this is another launcher called Agama, and I think this is my favorite launcher so far because it just looks good, and it's very easy to use. As you can see, similar to the car launcher here, where how the apps are showing. Again, this launcher actually will give you a 30-day trial, and then it will just stop working unless you pay for it. But I think this is the best launcher, the best looking launcher so far. Now another cool thing about the Dasaita Android unit is that you will be able to see the temperature controls right on the screen right there. So when you adjust it, it will pop up for a couple of seconds, and that's, I think, a good addition to this unit. And next up, I'm gonna show you how to change the launchers. So you want to go to the settings, apps, and then you want to select the launcher that you want, and then scroll down to the home app, and you can select from the list between Vivid, car launcher, or a Gamma launcher. But keep in mind, you have to install those two launchers, a Gamma or car launcher, from the Play Store, and then select it as the default launcher for the head unit. That way when it will boot up, it will go straight up to those launchers. Now going back to the main settings of the actual unit, we have a couple of cool custom settings here that we can do, such as changing the color of those side touch buttons. That it will match the rest of the dashboard, so that is pretty cool. We have some extra settings here, and one of my favorite settings is the reverse predictive guidelines. This is something what the 4Runner does not have by factory, so this head unit adds this feature. It can be found under the reversing trajectory display. Now you may wonder what happens if we receive a call while doing settings in the head unit. Well, the answer is simple. It will just switch back to Android Auto or CarPlay in order to be able to answer the call, and then you can just switch back to the settings. Now, it does have those factory settings where the password is 126. It will allow you some behind the scenes configurations of this unit, such as displaying a car logo when the unit powers on, and a couple of other settings with the amplifier. So it will allow you to change the settings for the system sound, for the microphone adjustment. But I want to show you, if you do have a sound issue where it will have a hissing noise, then you may want to go to the others here and check out the amplifier volume. In my case, I had it to set it down to minus 15 dBs that seem to quiet down that hissing noise. So you may have to do that if that happens on your amplifier. Now, another thing that I've noticed with typing on the keyboard, especially on the bottom row of the keys, sometimes it can be tricky because it's so close to the bezels of the edge of the screen, and that part it's not super sensitive, so you may have to press just slightly above the keys in order to get them to work. Now, overall, this unit is pretty good and responsive, especially when navigating, and it's really worth it since it's such a major upgrade from that outdated infotainment system that 4Runners have. And to be honest, it's worth every penny. Now, it's not perfect, has its flaws, but there is no such thing as a perfect head unit. So this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you are interested in buying this head unit, I will have the link in the description of this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment and subscribe to this channel for more similar content.